Shalom Aleichem. It is my honor and privilege to sit in the home of one of the leading poskim of the generation, if I may say, the young generation, Rabbi Feigelstock, who is the Mayor Tzedek of Chabad in Argentina. He's well known in Pesakim and difficult halachas, and in kashrus and ishus. And so I figured if the Eibush sent me here for good things, I figured I'll take advantage of spending a couple of moments to discuss some of the halachas that we learned. This week we're chazering Hilchas Pasak and Cholovak and Vishalak and those three small samanim. So some of the Balabatim sent me some shilas in email. I don't paskin. I'm going to speak to Rabbi Feigelstock to discuss what he feels is the right psak din. Rabbi Feigelstock, Nachman Shikoyach. I don't know if in Argentina they have this religion, the Mishigais, but there's a religion in America called sushi. Sushi, part of sushi is raw fish.
Yeah.
If people eat fish raw, would the problem of
Vishalak? So now what's the saying? That since people are eating sushi,
right.
So is that a similar that salmon, let's say salmon, because sushi is made out of salmon.
You have tuna, you have all kinds of fish.
Yeah, I've seen today sushi here in Argentina, I've seen only salmon. So it's a shayla to say, let's say that salmon, there's no Vishalak on salmon.
Right. Is that a final psak din, or that?
No, that's a question.
Right.
Yeah, I'd like to summarize the question.
It's based on the fact that some people eat sushi raw. I mean,
so as far as I remember, we'd have to open up a sefer and give a look. It has to be that most people would eat it raw. Sushi, as far as I see today, it's a minority of people that eat sushi. In other words, today if I'm going to serve a dish with raw salmon, most people would not eat it. So I would say at this moment, I would say salmon still needs Vishal Yisrael. Because most people will not eat raw fish.
So you're considering it what the Shulchan Aruch discusses, nechal idei tchak? Or you eat
it like an egg.
Right.
Exactly the case is an egg. A chazan would drink an egg and eat a raw egg. Since most people would not eat a raw egg only if it's cooked or fried,
right.
So it's considered, even though it's possible to be eaten, it's only...
And it's a delicacy.
Yeah.
And it's a heista chashuv thing.
Yeah, but since only it's a meal to people that would eat it raw, most people would refuse to eat it raw and only eat it cooked or fried, so it needs Bishul Yisrael.
Okay, so once we're talking about fish, could you please elaborate, what is in the world of kashrus, what is the machlekes of standards of canned tuna? If it needs Bishul Yisrael, not Bishul Yisrael, is it only because of the steaming, that it's not cooked? What's the discussion?
As far as I know, I'll give a
summary.
What happens in the plant? Yeah? A little bit summary what happens. There's a lot of questions in the tuna. There's not only the question of Bishul Yisrael.
There's a tomato, talking about the fish. But the mashgiach helps that. To make sure that it's only tuna, you have a mashgiach.
No, I'm talking about something else. The tuna gets caught in the nets. Then there's, with the net, there's a 5% fish that are not tuna. The average, between 2 to 5% are caught other fish.
Not kosher.
No, I didn't say not kosher. I said other fish.
Okay.
Yeah. The fish get then going through a selection on a machine that sizes them. It puts them for sizes, and will also avoid the other kinds of fish that are in different sizes. Then it gets through a human selection that would take out the non-tuna fish. Here I'm trying to give through the way it goes a non-kosher process. Yeah? Then the fish would go through, the machines would be adjusted to the size that they're making, would go through on a vapor tunnel. What will give it the first cooking, it's not fully cooked, but
so you're calling it steaming.
Vapor, steaming, it's a vapor.
That's machlekes hachronim if steaming is visual.
Yeah. But as far as I understand what I got information, it definitely considered machal to say.
Really?
And that, after that cooking, you can take apart the two halves of the fish, and that would leave you the two halves of the meat, with the skeleton and the kishkis and the head come off. So that's what the steaming does. As far as I would consider that steaming already, machal ben der soy.
So then you're changing it that the heter of steaming doesn't apply, it's vishal for sure. You're not.
I didn't say that.
So why are you going to, machal ben der soy is only going to help you to change
1 second, let's get into the locha part later.
Okay.
But just getting like a definition.
Okay.
Huh? Then the tuna is cut in the slices to the height of the can. Yeah? And then the cans are filled up manually, they're closed. And then it goes into a high pressure cooker with steam, with pressure, that sterilizes the fish inside the cans.
And that's for sure steam.
It's steam.
What temperature doesn't make a difference?
It doesn't matter, we're talking about 200 and something Celsius, 200 Celsius. They're sterilizing. We're talking about over 120 inside the can. In other words, the center of the can should be 20 minutes over 120. Yeah? And to be able, the can shouldn't explode, to have high pressure, and get away with that part. After it gets cooled and gets labeled. Now let's get into the halacha part. There's two questions in the halacha. First of all, inside the mouth of the fish, it's very common that there's other fish. And it happens also that some of these fish, a minority of the cases, there'll be a treif in the fish. So that fish, in general, that single fish, because each fish goes on a tray for itself, would not be mevatel b'shishin the dominant fish. But in generally, all the fish that went through production today,
Sure
even the whole fish that became nas and nevela, is definitely batel b'shishin. So there's some poskim, some mishgachas wouldn't look into it. Some would have a mishgiach checking each fish, at least in the outer part of the mouth. Because if it's a small fish, it's completely inside the mouth.
Oh, you're saying because it's Isser Dovuk, it won't be batel? I mean, isn't it a big fish, a big tuna? What are you finding in his mouth? Big enough that it won't be batel?
If it's sticking out of his mouth,
it's not batel b'shishin.
It's not batel b'shishin.
And a nimtza b'tar doesn't apply here?
What?
A nimtza b'tar.
Why? He didn't swallow it yet.
Okay, it has to be out of his mouth still.
We're talking about half in his mouth and half not in his mouth.
So you're talking about a klal.
It's not actually a klal.
That's how they catch him.
Yeah. No, they don't catch him with bait. He's in the middle of chopping the fish, and he got caught in the net and he got killed.
But if he swallowed it,
okay, not as an atar, it becomes a machlekes when it's become pirsha.
Right.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when he didn't swallow it yet.
And you're saying it's a common thing.
It's a common thing that, let's say, we can find 1 in 100 at least, or 1 in 200, or 1 in 50, that is in the middle of swallowing. The only thing is most fish in the ocean are kosher.
Right.
So a lot of cases it would be a kosher fish. But also what happens sometimes it will be a non-kosher fish.
Okay.
So the Arish Gachas would take this in consideration. They put the mishgiach to check the fish that is in the mouth of the fish that will go to the garbage.
Okay.
We shouldn't have a tichanas in the way. Yeah? The other Gachas are makel in that, and they say that in the whole procedure it became batel b'shishin. Even if you say chatichanas in the way, the whole fish, it's not something that happens in every 60 fish,
right.
Because a lot of fish are kosher.
Right.
So it happens in a non-kosher, can have 1 in 200, 1 in 500. So that fish is definitely batel b'shishin. And I want to say a slice of tuna that's in the can is not a chaticha relis kabel.
So then it becomes batel.
Yeah.
And what's your take on it?
Something that's also mishum, blia, you never say chaticha relis kabel.
Right.
Yeah?
Right.
So I'm not worried about chaticha relis kabel. So but the other to be okay. And the ones who are Matin, they say you don't need Bishul Yisrael. The Samach on the Dark Tshuva that says that steaming is Ma'ushin, and the Ma'ushin you don't need Bishul Yisrael.
Can I ask you what your standard is?
I spoke to Rabbi Handel about it. He said to me, as something that they're starting to say that it's Ein Ha'olah Shulchan Malachim.
Fish?
We're talking about cans in generally. I asked Rabbi Handel. Ken. Ken, Salam. I asked Rabbi Handel in generally that things that are cans, there was steam, should be Saimach on the Dark Tshuva that says the steam you don't need Bishul Yisrael. So he told me like this, it's something that you have others starting to be made. That they say it looks like that it's not Oila Shulchan Malachim.
Right.
It's Shavua Tov. תיכנס, עוד מעט אני אהיה איתך. אתה יכול לשבת באיזה מקום.
I thought halacha.
כן.
That's recording.
He said to me that when you have other students to be medical, so you can be mitzaref.
Okay, so when you talk...
But not to be Saimach on the Dark Tshuva itself, just on this, the saying is Timina. Because he says, Ma'ushan is talking about smoke.
Right.
Smoking is definitely, there's no shash, it's a Gemara, it's no shash or bishlakum when you do smoke.
Even Basa B'chol is not awesome in
Yeah, yeah, we're talking about Nabishal Yisrael, yeah. Now, steaming, today, all the plants, all the fabrics are using steam for an energy to cook. It became the most common way today to cook in big plants is having a huge furnace, a fire, also away from the plant, not under the pot, and the connection of the transmitting of the energy from the furnace to the element that's being cooked is used by steam. So it became a derech bishul, and it's something that's cooked through ishun, through smoke. The item has a complete different taste, and there's a complete different texture of something that is cooked with water or cooked in the oven. Masha'enkin, something that's cooked with steam, looks exactly the same thing as something that's cooked in the house with water or in the oven. So only to be Saimach on the Dark Tshuva, he doesn't want to.
So what's your take on cooked vegetable, canned vegetables?
What I was talking to him about was
canned food, canned vegetables are all...
canned food.
But they're Nechel K'may Chai.
So Nechel Chai ain't Babishlakum.
Right.
But let's say beans.
Yeah.
Beans are not
some
nechel.
of them are not.
Most beans are not Nechel
too hard.
Chai.
Right.
Yeah?
Right.
So they're not Oila Shulchan Malachim, most of them.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what he says. The mitzvah of the two shittas need to be matter.
Anyways, the last for her in Basa B'chol, Rabbi Shachan tried to trick somebody, asked a question about a pressure cooker. Because a pressure cooker doesn't have water, ain't blia, it's bli roitiv, right? You need the roitiv.
The pressure cooker is like a top pot that's covered.
No, but it's a pot within a pot. And there's no roitiv, there's no mayim. If you have an outside...
Pressure cooker?
I think it's a pressure cooker. The outside pot is treif. And the inside pot you put in, and there's no water, liquid in between, and the inside pot you put in is a kashera, it somehow heats it up.
No, the pressure cooker is not a double pot.
So I'm talking about maybe a different type of keli where you have...
A pressure cooker is a pot that is sealed, and that when it gets, the vapor generates pressure, and when it comes to, let's say, 5 kilos of pressure, it releases the rest of the pressure.
I'm talking about a different keli. I know, it's a different keli that you put one within the other. Steht doch in the Basa B'chol, steht there is a neighbor zubezu. If without rating.
But in the
this
cases you put water or glycerin or something to transmit the heat. Because if there's no liquid, nothing, it's not going to pass. It's not going to pass the heat. A vacuum, why is a thermos bottle keep the heat? Because there's a vacuum in the middle of the two bottles. So the heat or the cold from the outside is not transmitted.
Okay, so let me. I know your time is busy now. Let me just go to what you're saying. I just flew in here.
So 1 second, let's finish with the tuna.
Yeah.
So I'd say if we would consider that the tuna is not oil or shulchan balachim, and they then use the dark and shuva.
Do you fish? Is not oil or shulchan balachim?
I don't know. But
if you don't know, who knows? I'm saying, is fish not oil or shulchan?
Fish is definitely oil or shulchan.
So how could you say that it's not?
But if you got sardines is not oil or shulchan balachim. It's dagin ktanim.
Right. That's a shulchan.
Yeah. So depending what it is. So in other words, if you have something in the middle that you can do semach and bosatem. If not, salmon or tuna that's a dag choshuv will need bishul yisrael. We wouldn't be semach only in the dag yeshuva.
But you have the second thing, dark yeshuva, and then you have the sushi issue. That's nachuk meishuchai.
That's not. It's a clara din shulchan aruch that.
But you're looking for something to hang.
Yeah, but you don't have that. It's something against the shulchan aruch. You have nothing to hang on.
Okay, fine.
Now let's go back to the kashrus of the fish. Fish is something that is one of the chavis that needs 2 chsimas.
Right.
Yeah? So just putting 1 chsim on the label is not enough. Usually they're putting another identification on the can.
What are they doing now?
A code engraved on the can. The problem is, what I'm complaining to the kashrus agencies today, that the consumer is not informed to look for the code on the can.
Right.
In other words, to my standards, it had to be written on the can, and by the kashrus is where the kosher symbol is. This is only if this symbol is engraved on the can. So in other words, you have a second simon. If you would go to the supermarket and look at the meat that is going on the Ma'ashkochen, so there's a main label, it's Ma'ashkochen.
Right.
Then there's in the back label, a second label, the Ashkochen. The second label says that it's not valid only if the 2 labels are on the meat.
Right. So you have like basar, yeah.
The dog is a deraisa,
right.
just like basar, and then it goes on the same category.
Right.
That's one thing. Then there's another thing. We need a mishgiach to check that each fish is kosher.
Right.
Yeah, and check. Planter works 24 hours a day. To have one mishgiach working there 12 hours after he's looking at the fish 4 hours, he doesn't know what he's looking at.
Okay, so that's the same thing with Chol Yisrael.
No, Chol Yisrael, if he's in the plant, is good enough.
Right.
Because they only have to know that cows are going in and it's good enough.
The ain't over Tama Bedra.
Yeah, ain't over Tama Bedra. You can check it 5 minutes and that, and you can go sit in a black gemara. But here, we're having an Issa Deraisa of a fish, a Davatome. And you're having, let's say, 5,000 fish going through an hour on the conveyor belt. Yeah? And you have them work 12-hour shift. I mean, after 3-4 hours, he doesn't see what.
But realistically, as far as I know, one out of 100 hashgachas have a mashgiach tmidi by tuna. Is that correct?
There's more today. There's nice few hashgachas who have a mashgiach tmidi. And as far as I know, there's a few hashgachas. I don't want to.
Okay, no name.
They have shifts. Every 2 hours, they change the mashgiach. Now they have one mashgiach at the in point, and they have another mashgiach at the end point, where it's getting
just double check it.
And these 2 mashgiachim change
labels.
One by the labeling at the end, or where the cans are, with the engraving of the cans, because the real sim is engraving of the cans, where it gets canned. And the other mashgiach is at the end. And so the one mashgiach, when it comes in, he's working hard. The one that's at the end, yeah. So every 2 hours they shift. And then they have, every 8 hours they have a new shift, 2 other guys come in. So they have like 3 shifts for covering 24 hours, 6 missions.
So we're talking about fish. I'm going to go a little off the topic about fish because it's a very common shaila by us. I don't know if it could a yid go into a supermarket and just buy filleted salmon. It's red. If you have one simon, one kaskas, it's fine. But it's filleted. It's ready-made filleted salmon. Do you see any shiloh with the filleting?
I don't see any shiloh with it. I see it's a double butter that's osir.
Double butter that's osir?
Because the Gemara says that fish, chatichas dag, that doesn't have skin on it, needs 2 chasimas. And as we need a yid to put on it 2 seals of kosher. 1 seal is not enough. If we only have 1.
And if you see
It's a mission.
if you see one kaskasa,
If we have a piece of skin on it,
or one kaskas,
if you don't have a piece of skin, you don't have a piece of kaskas.
okay, you could have it. It's kaskas floating.
If it's floating, so I take from
Somewhere else.
another fish and I put on a catfish, and then you're gonna have kaskasim.
You have to be high, so you have to be worried.
Yeah, you have to worry about it. When you say kaskasim, doesn't mean that you have to see scales. What you have to see is a piece of skin that's naturally connected to the fish,
Right.
and on that,
Could have been a kaskasa.
not could have been,
Yeah,
the scales leave a mark on the skin. You could see on the skin if this fish has scales or not.
Right. Because in Dr. Chua, they speak about certain fish that they lose the kaskasa.
We're not talking about that. Mackerel is that fish, and some tunas are also like that. Yeah, but let's say salmon.
Right.
Salmon is a fish, even after you take off the scales, you could see that it had scales.
Right. And salmon has another mila. Salmon is red.
Okay, salmon is not red, only if it eats that garbage. A natural salmon has all kinds of colors,
So you're
between white and red. And you can make any fish become red.
So you're not relying whatsoever. I heard that there are some gardeners that rely as long as it looks red. I heard that there's so much.
The fish is red because they give it to eat. They don't give it to eat dye. They give it to eat shrimps.
Shrimps, really?
Yeah, they give it to eat fish or food that's very high in cardamom coloring.
Right.
And that fish, it goes over to
Makes it red.
So that food is more expensive. So 3 months before they harvest it, they give it to this food. And in the first 2 years, when they bring it over, they put any kind of food, and if you catch it at that time, it's going to be white.
So salmon is not red?
The salmon in the ocean is red because that's the fish they catch. And how much it succeeded to catch, that's why
How red it'll get.
it'll get more red or more red. But the salmon today in the market is is grown,
Right.
is industrial grown.
The red main garnish.
The red is grown. I made a production of merluza. I took fish merluza.
Yeah.
It's a white fish.
Yeah.
It's called in English whites.
Yeah.
And I colored it red, and we gave it we added flavor of smoked. And I made out of that fish smoked salmon. Okay? I did a production of that once. We made out of merluza. I made it.
Cheaper, huh?
Merluza cost $2 a kilo.
And salmon is much more expensive.
Cost $18 a kilo.
Okay, so there we go.
Yeah, I'm
Are
talking
you
about.
the Chicago?
Yeah. So I just made the producer put on, if he wants kosher, I told him, he has to write on the label, taste like smoked salmon.
So zijn
So I'm saying, no, it's mamish I know.
because the person looks at it thinks it's salmon.
It said smoked salmon. So I had him to write on it, tastes like smoked salmon.
Okay, let's see.
So anyways, we're going back. So with a piece of skin on it, yeah, that's naturally stuck.
So you know that it's kosher fish.
Then you have a shaila
About the knife.
about the knife and the water that's washed. The Gemara says about the sakin of chelif, the Gemara brings a chelif, needs shloisha sakin.
Right.
And it needs also shloisha dlaim, needs 3 pails.
Right.
So the chash is not only the sakin, also the water that it's
Because
being
of the
washed.
shamnunis, that's going to be on the
Yeah.
water, right?
I've been in a lot of fish plants. They do a tome vatar yachdov, and with the same knife, and with the same water they wash it. I would say it's very hard to decide if fish is good enough hadoche or it needs grade or klipa.
Really?
Yeah.
It's cold.
Because left is not in everything you can do a docha. On bread you can't do a docha because it's nivle b'toich.
Right. You can't even do on kishuin.
Yeah, kishuin you can't do a docha. You need a klifa.
Greater, like
Greater, klifa. Yeah, that's why I mentioned greater.
Right.
It's very hard to say what would be did in. Merlus is a fish definitely that you cannot do hadocha. Because the hadocha sips it in more, just like you should. Or bread. Yeah? Greda or klifa would be good enough. So I would say if you buy a fillet of any fish and there's a piece of skin on it, and
you should do greda.
And there's a piece of skin, you know it's kosher, with the klifa you're okay.
Okay. Then the shiloh will be what happens if you forget.
I suggest in our community, people want to buy the Trefa market fish, to go with their own knife, with their own board, have the guy cut it up.
And not use his water.
And use only the water under the tap, flowing water, not to use the water in the pail.
But you insist that you should be done, because that's something I know that Rabbi Feller, when he moved out to Minnesota, he asked Rabbi Zalman Shimon if he has to bring, I don't know what Rabbi Zalman Shimon Paskin, I know that if he has to bring a knife and a board to the fish store to do their, or could he just use, I'll find out what
Okay, the board, the board is like a fellow.
But even the knife.
The knife is definitely is.
But he's doing it cold. You're saying it's even.
I'm talking about cold. The board, the table is dirty.
Okay, let's go back because I don't want to keep you here forever. We could do this. This is mighty interesting.
We could put a plastic bag on the table. If he doesn't bring a board, and cover the table with plastic, and cut the fish on top of the plastic.
Let's talk about Bishul Yisrael again. Another question I was asked, and this is, the Aruch HaShulchan talks about this. What's the status of starting from potatoes, potato chips? You don't want to go there.
I don't want to go into it. It's a long question.
Okay. One other question I thought about as I'm flying the plane.
Question is, what's Aruch HaShulchan Malachim? Do we go on the mean, or we go on each machal?
Right, but Aruch HaShulchan said potatoes b'chlam.
Yeah.
So then they have different potato chips. They have the ones that they say.
Today potatoes is definitely Aruch HaShulchan Malachim.
Potatoes.
Potatoes.
And potato chips.
Potato chips, now the Shaila, how I'm going to look on the mean, I'm going to look on this. It's so good
By uns haben wir gefragt, Ronald Reagan has gegessen jelly beans.
Oh, it's not, he wouldn't do that, he wouldn't invite another president.
But Ronald Reagan already given a president.
Yeah, but he wouldn't invite...
It's not a Michael Choshev to show off. That's enough.
That's the word of Shochem Lachem. In other words, when you make a bar mitzvah, a chasana, would you serve jelly beans?
Okay, so why on the plane, Delta serves us, or Choshev or Hechsher, I'm not going to say peanuts. Does that mean it's Bishul Yisrael, or does it not have to be Bishul Yisrael?
You could say peanuts and not oil Shochem Lachem. That's why.
Jimmy Carter, he got some peanuts, nothing more.
Right, he gets some peanuts, but he won't.
That's the heter that this I don't think.
Nobody would.
Do you ever have some peanuts?
What? No.
Would you?
I did peanut butter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had the mashgiach put on the furnace on the toasting the peanuts. But if I wouldn't be able to do it, I would only get toasted peanuts. Yeah. This is for it to be made.
Because it's Ein Shochem Malachim.
Yeah, because it's Ein. You would not serve peanuts in a bar mitzvah or a chasna.
Okay, this is my last question. You're over in the community over here, we said Asach Ashkenazim, Asach Sfardenberg.
Yeah.
The standards for Bishul Yisrael in the Chabad Ramah is Mizrach Mairu. The Ramah says Shkira
no.
So I mean, when Rabbi Feigelstock writes Bishul Yisrael, is that Bishul Yisrael standard? Does a Svardi? I'm saying what?
I don't even have to write Bishul Yisrael. If I'm right, it's my name, kosher.
Yeah. The
standards are Bishul Yisrael of the Beis Yosef.
Of the Beis Yosef.
Yeah.
That's your standard.
My standards. I'm giving right now Ashgacha. In Shal Pesach.
I have no idea what that is.
A hotel in
Oh,
Argentina.
yeah.
Make an hotel for Pesach.
Yeah.
We're having there 16 mashgiachim. And why do I need 16 mashgiachim?
Bishul Yisrael.
Because I need that in every piece of meat that they're putting
Yes, put it
on
on
the
Beis Yosef says you have
on the asado, how do you say asado? Barbecue.
Yeah.
On the barbecue, we make a chalamoid, we make a barbecue. So every piece of meat, the mashgiach puts it on the grill.
Or the people could be Jewish.
No, I have a mashgiach doing that. And he turns it over, because one side is not enough.
That's very double chomer.
No, the Beis Yosef says so.
Michael Ben Rosoy is fine.
He said it's often in the Beis Yosef that if you didn't turn it over, the guy turned it over, it's not good.
If it was cooked, I think he says if it cooked half.
Open up the Beis Yosef. He says, Dafka, on this case, he says the Yid has to turn it over. Okay, the big parts to put chicken or meat on the stove in the oven is easy. You put a whole thing into the oven and that's it.
But typically in the world, I'm worried. I'm thinking about this. Typically in the world, this is one of the only cases. Very few cases. Sephardim are more Nachman than Ashkenazim. I mean, this one and Galat not fine, but the Sephardim know that for Galat they're looking for Sephardish things. Sephardish Hashgacha. I don't think I never came across that in Bishul Yisrael. As long as they say Bishul Yisrael, they accept it as their standard Bishul Yisrael. By us, Hashlachas Kissim is even good. Us meaning Ashkenazim.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a little shtickle know going on.
Okay. Anyways, I do Bishul Yisrael according to Beis Yosef. I have a community here of Sephardim. I don't want that the Sephardi should say that it's not for me.
Right.
My standards are no kidneys for the Ashkenazim, no shruya for Chabad, and Bishul Yisrael and Glat for the Sephardim. I don't want
all the way through. You're saying whenever you're not going to give her hashgacha on gebrux.
No.
Period.
Yeah.
Even though that it's a Lutvik guy is going to eat
Yeah.
it. Okay, last thing. This year, Erev Pesach is Friday.
Yeah.
Just tell us the kids, besides making the salt water, May Melech have Mazayna.
I don't make it out for every year. It's best to make it.
Right, but the Shabbos is even worse.
Yeah.
Any pointers you want to tell us how regalachas? Tamdeni kolatarit kula regalachas. What's Erev Pesach Shecholias
Erev Shabbos, nothing special.
Yeah.
The main thing is the zroya. If you didn't prepare Erev Shabbos, you cannot do it
the roasting.
Shabbos.
The roasting.
Yeah, Shabbos.
Right.
And the main thing I would suggest to my balabatim that before you go to the shul, you have already. The night said you have already the seder, everything, all the meaning you need, already prepared on the table. So, 15 minutes after you came home, you could already come, you sadar al shulchan, no kara, begin with matzahs, and you give sadar the kara.
And what's with the kinders on the Stein schlafen?
It's very important, the kinders on the Stein schlafen. When you have kids that are till 12, 13, at 10 o'clock you have nobody to talk to. 11 o'clock they're half asleep.
And they're Ikka mitzvah.
And the Ikka mitzvah, God to Levincha, that he should be able to drink arba kaises.
Right.
So instead of being malach and pirushim and kratzarai and all kinds of things,
This touched on a very big fish. That the kid, the chinuch that he should be able
he should finish arba kaises. No. You are chayiv mechinuch. That he should drink arba kaises and he should eat afukaimen. So if he fell asleep,
chiyuv chinuch on the sipiritis mitzrayim is
No.
the raisa.
No.
Chiyuv chinuch on
you're mixing up two different things.
You want to be mechanech the children.
You're talking about
We got to live in. Right.
So if he was up till achilas matzah and you finished God Yisrael, as the Yetzik was begat levincha and you fell asleep.
Right.
But chinuch
It's also mitzvah
is a
rabbanon.
mitzvah rabbanon.
It's also on the mitzvah rabbanon of Daled Kaisis.
Of Dalet Kaisis. So you have to give the child a sheer matzah, a kos with a sheer, and he should drink arba kaises. So if you're going to make the seder till 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, and you lost your kids, you lost the chinuch of your kids doing the seder.
I'll tell you what Rabbi Shachar just told me a couple of months ago. He said, sometimes the Yotzah Schar of Seder, when we make these big functions, and we invite Friday people to come to the function, and they come and see the menorah, and then you serve them a meal, and they didn't make a bracha rishona, a bracha achrona, you're meichel isur b'yadayim.
Yeah.
He says, Yotze schar, they saw a menorah, they didn't hear Birchas and Vazon, which is a Issa Deraisa.
Yeah.
So he says you have to insist that somebody does the at least Shemei Kaina does that.
Shemei Kaina, that's what I do.
I mean, they'll machen Moitzi out loud, but they'll machen Birchas and Vazon out loud.
And now with the microphone.
That's the way you lump this.
No, the Rebbe says that
there's a montage that says you can make a you can't talk an amen.
You can't talk amen, but you're not
Shemei Kaina, you're saying. Shemei Kaina, you have to hear his part.
Hear his
The Rebbe says by the Megillah and by the
yeah, the Rebbe says a tshuva that if you hear from a microphone, it's not you're not yotze. So if you want Shemei Kaina, you have to have somebody saying the brachas. You could say in the microphone, everybody be quiet, now we're going to say the bracha, but the bracha should be said without a microphone so everybody should be able to hear and be yotze the bracha.
Okay, Yashikayach Rabbi Feigelstock. This is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I'm sorry I took even too much time. I see you have other people waiting, but please stop at a second. I want to.